Hello, everybody. Eric here with the weekly wrap up for November 2nd through November 8th. And on my channel, not a lot going on. I posted a video on Monday, a review for Buried Screams by C. Dean Anderson, I believe, was the author. And on Wednesday was my reading remembrances for December of 2008, finished out that year. And then there was no video on Friday because I had not finished the book, the very large 700-page book that I was currently reading. Hadn't finished it at the time I was recording everything. And once I got it done, I just didn't have the energy to record in the middle of the week so that I would have the review for Friday. So there was nothing on Friday. Yeah, so that's it. Just those videos. Hope you'll check them out. You know what? I'm going to talk about work first because work was boring. All we did was make kits all week, which basically means we just took pieces, parts, put them in a bag, sealed the bag, throw that bag in a box. All day, every day, for 5 days. Well, not all day, every day, because I left early on Monday. But other than that, we just made kits all week. Now, the reason I threw that in before talking about what I read this week, well, you're going to find out in just a second. First of all, I finished reading Toady by Mark Morris. This is the big 700-page book that I will shortly be recording a review for. So after I finished that, well, now I'm combining a couple things. What I read and what I picked up. So here we go, I guess. This one's weird. Because the three books are books that I just got. For some reason, instead of, I have books around here that I've had for probably over a decade, well over a decade, that I haven't even read yet. But for some reason, I chose to read books that I just got. Actually, no. Well, yeah, okay. This one I didn't just get. I think I've shown this off before. I've lost track of everything at this point. But after Toady, I read Why I Love Horror, edited by Becky Siegel Spratford, Essays on Horror Literature. So this is basically what it says. Bunch of horror authors writing about why they love horror. I think that has been in a haul video before. But now, the book I read after that is a book that I just got. I finished that, I jumped into this, and this is Exploring the Labyrinth, Volume 1 by Kit Power, reading Brian Keene, with a foreword by Eric LaRocca. And it's Kit Power is a great author, and he's written nonfiction. He's got two books, My Life in Horror, Volumes 1 and 2. I've only read the first one so far, and I've read some of his fiction. But I guess he took a break from reading horror for quite some time. And when he was coming back to it, he had realized he'd never read any Brian Keene. So he started with not a random one, but not like the first one, not The Rising. But after reading that, decided to go back, start with The Rising, and read all of his... what does he call it? Each of Keene's full-length fiction pieces, from The Rising, 2003, to Alone, 2011. So he's reading all of that and wrote essays about it. And this series started on Ginger Nuts of Horror, continued on Uncomfortably Dark. I don't know why I'm talking about all this, because this will all go in the review. Basically, it's Kit Powers reading Brian Keene in order and talking about it. There you go. All right, now a couple of books I mentioned and screwed up last week. I mentioned these were coming in, but they were arriving the day after I recorded my weekly wrap up. These are a couple novelizations from Echo On Publications, and one is Witchboard, and the other one I said, because I just had to rewatch that video from last week to see which books I had talked about, because at this point I don't know when they're coming in, and because there was one I thought I was like, oh, that didn't come in until after I'd recorded, but it turns out it had. But anyway, when last week I said Night of the Creeps, and I apologize for anybody who might have gotten excited. It's Night of the Comet. So, fantastic movie, couple of fun movies, and more novelizations. Speaking of, someone mentioned that they got the Silent Night, Deadly Night novelization paperback from Titan Books. And I think that's possibly very exciting news, because I have a first edition hardback of Silent Night, Deadly Night from Beyond Games, or Beyond Killer Games. They used to be called Stop the Killer, and they make games based on horror movies and little knickknacks, I think, and novelizations. And I'm hoping, but their novelization's kind of expensive, and they don't print a lot. They go out of print, like their Silent Night, Deadly Night is out of print. So I'm hoping Titan will pick up all the rest of them, because they have like Basket Case, My Bloody Valentine, I believe Black Christmas, and I would love to get like a nice Titan edition of any of those novelizations. But let's move on to some of the other stuff I picked up, and let's jump to what I'm currently reading. I forgot that part. The book I'm currently reading is a book that I just got, and I'm just going to show the dust jacket because I'm reading it, so the dust jacket's not on it. It is Dungeons & Dragons Ravenloft, Heir of Strahd by Delilah S. Dawson. It's got a nice picture on the back, too. I like Dungeons & Dragons, and this is basically kind of the horror Dungeons & Dragons. And you got all these cool characters, and they're going to be dealing with, oh, look, it looks like a vampire. Anyway, that's what I'm currently reading, and I just got this. I'll put that back down there. And then we will do this one, I think. I just picked this up at the comic book store. I hadn't ordered it, but I saw it sitting there. And this is from Penguins, Penguin Classics, sort of special editions. And this is 2 books in one. The Vampire by John Polidori and Carmilla by Sheridan LaFanu. And then it's got the Carmilla cover and the Vampire cover. Vampires from 1819, I believe. I've never read either one of these, so kind of nice to have some old classic vampire tales. First published, Vampire 1819, Carmilla 1871, 72. So, hopefully good stuff. Then we have Conan, Spawn of the Serpent God by Tim Waggoner from Titan Books. And Titan is publishing new Conan novels and the Conan comic books. And this says it's a Scourge of the Serpent novel. And this novel ties into this Scourge of the Serpent comic book storyline. Just like Tim Leben had a novel. I believe it was the Tim Leben novel that ties into a different comic book storyline. So a new chapter in the Titan comics and Heroic Signature's massive narrative event, Scourge of the Serpent, is what it says. But I think, hopefully, you can read this without having read any of the comics, because I haven't read any of the comics. But I am a huge fan of Conan. Then we have The Flesh King by Richard Kadrey. I love that cover. And it's just a tiny little thing. And this is the second book featuring Ford, Newland, and Tilda from The Pale House Devil. Hopefully, I don't know if this is just going to be a continuing series. This is also from Titan Books. It's just the second book. Don't know if there's going to be a third. But so Ford and Newland are a couple of guys that work for the mob. And it's a world where there are monsters and stuff. And one of them, I can't remember which one. One of the guys is alive. The other one's dead. But they work for the mob. In the first book, they get in trouble with the mob, so they go out to California, and they're looking for work there and trying to avoid the mob messing them up. And then after that, they picked up another partner, and they're going back to New York, I believe, New York or New Jersey, and some stuff's going to go down. But I really liked the first one. Very excited about reading the second one. And then two books that are number 10 and 11 in a series. One is a bunch of short stories. One is just a full-length novel, I believe. And we have Stiffs and Stones, Kevin J. Anderson, The Cases of Dan Shamble, Zombie P.I. This is a bunch of short stories. And yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 short stories in here. And then we have Horn Dogs by Kevin J. Anderson, The Cases of Dan Shamble, Zombie P.I. This one's a full-length novel. And it's fun stuff. I'm a huge fan of private detective stuff. And you throw in the he's a zombie, and you've got all these mystical things, monsters, and unicorns. There's vampires. I think his girlfriend is a vampire, and his partner's a ghost or something. And I believe out of the 11 books, it's a mishmash of novel-length stuff and short story collections. And they're fun. I don't know that they get very dark. They're usually kind of lighthearted and fun. So, Stiffs and Stones and Horn Dogs, Kevin J. Anderson. And that is everything that I picked up this week. I watched a movie last Sunday. I watched Superman, the James Gunn Superman. And I really liked it. I thought everybody in it was excellent. David Corenswet as Superman I thought was fantastic. Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane. I think she's my favorite Lois Lane. And this might throw some people. I don't know. Margot Kidder is my second favorite. I don't think Amy Adams or Rachel McAdams, I don't think either one of them really fit Lois Lane. I'm talking movies. Don't know a lot of TV Lois Lanes. I loved Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. Isabella Merced as Hawkgirl. Nathan Fillion, great as Guy Gardner. I'm not going to try to pronounce the name of the gentleman who played Mr. Terrific. And I've always known him as Big Love from House. And I know he was Darwin in X-Men First Class. But I loved him as Big Love on House. But he was great. He was terrific as Mr. Terrific. The gentleman who played Metamorpho. I love the guy, Skylar Gazindo, however you say his name, who played Jimmy Olsen. But he'll always be young Sean Spencer from Psych to me. I loved him on that show. He wasn't the only young Sean Spencer, but he was a young Sean Spencer. Liked him as Jimmy Olsen. Everybody was fantastic, I think, in the movie. I heard the most complaints that I heard, other than the woke crap, The biggest complaints I heard was James Gunn's tendency to break up any dramatic moments with humor, and that is in there, but don't think. I think saying he does it every single time is an exaggeration. I know people loved the big scene with Mr. Terrific at the encampment. That's all I'll say. And it is a fun scene, but I think that has become a James Gunn signature because we have seen it essentially the exact same thing in other James Gunn movies. I'm not going to say what, in case anyone hasn't seen Superman yet. I don't want to spoil the scene, but if you do see it, I think, and you've seen the other James Gunn movies, I think you'll understand what I'm talking about. But overall, really, really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to the other new DC movies at this point. Definitely want to see what they do with Clayface since they're saying it's a horror movie. Definitely interested in Supergirl since Lobo is supposed to be in it, I believe. So yeah, very much enjoyed Superman. And I think that covers everything. That was my week. Nothing else really to talk about. I spent today blowing leaves around the yard. Had to blow them all into a big pile in the backyard, and then rake them up onto a tarp so I can haul them out to the curb, and then just blow everything in the front yard all the way to the curb. That took a good amount of time. Put some headphones in, got some music playing. Perfectly fine. It's drizzle and rain a little bit, so hopefully I don't get sick. Yeah, I think that is everything. So, as usual, do any of these books catch your eye? Have you read any of this stuff? Um, let me know what interests you. If you've read any of it, let me know what you thought of it. Have you seen Superman? What did you think of that? And that's about it. If you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. We try to be polite here on my channel. Please like, share, and subscribe, all the usual YouTube stuff. If you'd care to follow me on other social media, I'll have links for my Instagram and Blue Sky in the description below. And that's all I have for you this time. So until next time, read more books.